Mitt Romney in just a moment. In the meantime, last night, Donald Trump, big story, sweeping all the states except for Texas, Alaska, Oklahoma, which went to Ted Cruz, and then, of course, Minnesota, which went to Marco Rubio. On the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders taking Colorado, Oklahoma, Minnesota, and his home state of Vermont, with Clinton notching major victories in every other state. Today, Senator Marco Rubio voting in his home state of Florida this morning before heading to a rally in Michigan. Ohio Governor John Kasich holding a town hall meeting at the University of Michigan. And Senator Ted Cruz hitting a barbecue shop in Kansas. Hillary Clinton heading to a rally shortly just a few blocks from here, right here in New York City. So it's time to bring in Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. And Giano, I hope I said that right, Giano. Did I? Caldwell?
Giano, yes, you are. That's
fantastic.
Correct.
Principal and founder of Caldwell Strategic Consulting. He's also a former Republican County Director of African American Outreach in the state of Illinois. Great to have the both of you today. So here's what I wanted to start on. I wanted to start on something that Donald Trump said last night during his victory press conference, where it really caught my attention because he said, look, I really am going to go out there as a GOPer, and I'm going to go for the African American vote. Let's listen to it.
We're going to do great with the African Americans. And you see that in the polls, where I had one poll where I'm 25%. And one of the commentators, who I think is standing right in the back of the room in the corner, said, you know, if Donald Trump gets 25% of the African American vote, this election is over. You watch. And the reason I'm getting that, and I'm going to do great with the Hispanics, I'm going to do great with virtually every group. The reason is I'm going to bring jobs back.
So, Giano, do you agree with that? Will Donald Trump do better than maybe anyone else on the GOP side as far as getting the African-American vote?
Well, first, let me clear up some confusion, because there seemed to be some confusion in terms of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not racist. He has black friends. He's in good shape. Now, in terms of poll numbers, yes, the numbers that he quoted, some have disputed those. The Washington Post had him at 24% in a poll referencing a CNN poll. There's been other polls that have talked about him being in the 20-something percentile. Additionally, when it comes to policy and rhetoric, a number of African Americans happen to agree with him on some of his rhetoric, specifically immigration being one of those things.
Okay, so, you know, at the same time that it looks like he's feeling positive about that, there's a new super PAC that's really hitting him hard, Leslie, on racial issues. Watch this.
This is an ugly strain of racism.
I flat out called him a racist.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
He does not have a great relationship with the blacks. And you can ask 5 kids from New York City during the Central Park jogger rapist trial. When Donald Trump took out a full-page ad calling for the death penalty, he wanted to kill these kids. And it turned out that they were innocent.
Wow. Leslie?
I mean, from the Central Park 5 to not knowing who David Duke is, disavowing him or the KKK, security throwing out African-American students in the South. Okay, if Donald Trump isn't racist, what is that? If we want to look at the polls, yes, less than 10% might say, hey, I can buy some of his rhetoric. Oh, I think he may understand some of the issues affecting the black community. But the reality is 3% or less would vote for him. Well, and they would vote for Hillary. So he does not have their support.
I don't know how you come up with the 3%, but I think it's a fascinating discussion because he has so much crossover with other groups, including independents and Democrats. Take a look at this quote from prominent African-American Tavis Smiley. He wrote an op-ed today in USA Today. He said this: "It's mind-numbing to some of us that a reckless member of the billionaire class has somehow convinced hardworking, everyday people that he is their savior. But all rich guys aren't created equal. Ultimately, Trump's policies might not be that different from what Mitt Romney's would have been, but they apparently sound different to working-class voters." Gianna.
Gretchen, you're absolutely correct about that. Now, what I will say is, when we look at rhetoric and policy positions, we also must look at Hillary Clinton's. We must think about the things in which she said, calling African American super predators. We must think about some of the things that Bill Clinton has said when he talked about President Obama in 2008 only being qualified to get his coffee 3 years previously. So if Donald Trump, being a guy who's an expert at social media, somebody who knows how to ram a message through and get the media to play it, once we look at those past things that have been said, we will know then that Hillary Clinton can't be trusted by the black community.
Okay.
One last point here. One last point. When it comes to Hillary Clinton and her positions, she's lost the black community's support, and the polls are reflecting that as we move past South Carolina.
Okay, she had a huge night last night, though. I want to move on to this, Leslie, because I got to get your take on this. Last night, Marco Rubio blamed John Kasich and other candidates for his loss in Virginia. A lot of mainstream Republicans reportedly agree with him. Take a look at this. Trump in first, but Rubio close second. So basically, if you added just half of Kasich's results in Virginia, Rubio would have won that state. So here's the big question. Is the GOP establishment going to eventually force Kasich out of the race? Leslie.
Quite frankly, Gretchen, if they do, it's too little, too late, and honestly, this should have been done before. I have said there should have been a come-to-Jesus talk among the Republicans if they truly wanted not to have Trump as the Republican nominee, to sit down and to say, okay, Ted, John, Ben, get out of the race. Let's back Rubio. Poll after poll show that he has the best shot of winning in a national election over Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
So I, as a Democrat, I'm happy he probably won't be the nominee. But honestly, I think he was their guy, and I think they lost their chance, and I agree with them.
It's fascinating because another GOP insider said that there may be a deal between Kasich and Trump going on here, and that's why he's staying in the race. Who knows? It's exciting every day. Leslie,
I doubt that very
Giano,
seriously.
great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hillary Clinton.